Hi everybody, this is Osprey from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at the marijuana sector. Okay, so there was the pullback on Thursday with the coal memo in United States being taken away. The entire sector was under pressure. That sent a sector-wide pullback on Thursday, and there was a nice bounce on Friday. So that was very good to see. For TW, we're going to start off here with the Canadian stocks, and then we'll get into some United States stocks after that. First up, we're going to look at Canopy Growth, and it formed a bearish. Here's a reversal pattern: bearish one black crow reversal pattern on Thursday, and so that pattern has not been confirmed, but it is currently in play. And so if a red candle forms below the closing price here on Thursday, that would confirm that reversal pattern. Okay, so Twmjf is in a nice strong uptrend. It opened the day down here at EMA 13 at 2272, and it bounced off of that orange line. That was really nice, and it closed back above EMA 4. So the chart's still super strong. It's been above EMA 4 since the close above back here in December. As long as that level's holding, it's still signaling more upside potential. It needs to break above the closing price here on Wednesday from last week. If it can get above that level, that's going to signal that it wants to keep making new highs. Fail to make that new high, and it could pull back. If it goes below that EMA 13, you could see a drop down to the middle Bollinger Band at 1939. So yeah, so this is a nice uptrend. It just needs to hold support to keep it going. Let's look at Acbff. Okay, so Aurora Cannabis has had a really nice uptrend as well. It had formed bearish 3 gap ups reversal pattern on last week, and so that if you look here, this is the bearish 3 gap ups, and when you get the multiple gap up opens in a row, the chart is getting frothy, and that was a signal to be on the lookout for potential pullback. When this red candle formed on Thursday, that did confirm that pattern. But if you notice, the pink line has been holding. So even though the candles work their way back into the bands, the EMA 4 is the share price is still above EMA 4. As long as the EMA 4 is holding, the chart is super strong. Now, if there's a close below, the uptrend's still intact. You could see it drop down to EMA 8 at 904. That's the next support level below. And then once again, you want to see a close above high close resistance. So if you get a close above this 1140 or so resistance level, that's going to signal it wants to keep pushing higher. Fail to make that a new high close, and the share price is likely to consolidate. Okay, let's look at Aphqf, another one of the top dogs. It had the big gap down on Thursday. You can see the red candle. Once again, it came down to EMA 13, the orange line, and it bounced right off that level. You could see here there was a nice long lower wick. This showed loading off of low of day. The share price, though, hit EMA 4 at 1540, closed right below that level. Now, it has to close above that level to keep this really strong uptrend going. If EMA 4 turns into resistance and EMA 13 support breaks, you could see that middle Bollinger Band at 1268 tested. Now the middle Bollinger Band has to keep holding. If there's a close below, like back here in October, that's when you can see some consolidation, a possible new downtrend, possible drop down to that 50-day simple moving average at 949. Now to the upside, it needs to get above high close resistance, which is up here around 1725. If it can break above that 725 resistance zone, it'll signal it wants to head higher. Fail to make a new high close and fail to hold support, and it could cool down. Okay, let's look at Medff, another one of the big dogs, MedReleaf. Okay, so this had formed a bearish Harami reversal pattern on Thursday, and so that pattern has not been confirmed, but it is still in play. And as you can see here, the red candle fit inside Thursday's red candle fit inside Wednesday's white candle, and the candles work their way back in the bands. A long-legged doji did form on Friday, this candlestick. This shows loading off of low of day. It closed back above EMA 4, so the charts are still really strong. The doji is signaling indecision. Now, if you see a close below 2135 EMA 4, that's when you could see it consolidate and pull back. Notice how the lower wicks are bouncing off of EMA 8. That level is a big level to hold. If it comes down and it tests EMA 8 and it breaks, that will be a change in trend. Notice how it's been holding every time that it gets tested on the dip, and that's when you could see EMA 13 and possibly the middle Bollinger Band down there at 1449 tested. Okay, let's look at CMMDF. Okay, so this is a weekly chart actually, and it just came out over the weekend that Aurora Cannabis bought another 200,000 shares of this company. I mean, there were only 274,000 shares traded on Friday. I don't know if 200,000 of those were, or last week there was only 274,000 shares. I don't know if Aurora Cannabis bought 200,000 of those or what, but that they said they bought 200,000 shares last week and only 274,000 shares traded. So they are pushing this higher. You know, like they've been driving this higher. Notice that because they're buying out the company, and if you look out here in December, it started trading, and then it's hitting new all-time high levels. This was the all-time high close on the weekly chart, and it hit that above 22 for a new all-time high. So this has been a really good play since they put out that. It's been in a very strong uptrend, and it didn't pull back on that news from from Thursday. It's pushing higher. It's got a really nice strong uptrend. It's because it's being Aurora Cannabis is in the process of taking it over. Okay, so here's one to keep an eye on. So I just showed you a lot of the big players. Check out this little guy here. This is Nwkrf. We were on this on Friday. As you can see here, it closed up 41%. It just started trading back here in the end of December, beginning of January. And check out the volume bars. There's been big volume the last few days. It's been picking up, and it's on a blue sky breakout. It's hitting all-time new all-time high levels. Okay, so it's never been at these levels before. So as you can see, this is a blue sky breakout. We're finding new plays every day. If you want to be a part of the new plays, come check out our chat. Let's look at Glnnf. Now, this is both a cryptocurrency play and it's also a marijuana sector play because they're doing marijuana payments. And so, yeah, they're firing on all cylinders as far as being in both crypto and marijuana sector. Notice that RSI is at 49 and Fasto is at 56. They both have room to run until overbought levels. The big thing on this chart is we're looking for a break above the middle Bollinger Band. That's currently at 171. Notice this descending resistance line and ascending support. One of the lines are going to break. If it drops below the 50-day simple moving average at 155, that's the green line. That's going to signal downside risk, and it could drop down to test $1 and that 100-day simple moving average at 95. If it can break above that middle Bollinger Band at 171, that's when it should be a signal that it wants to break out higher. We're looking for a potential run back up to $3. This was they had an interview out over the weekend on OTC markets. You can check it out. This should get going. Should get moving higher. Okay, so keep an eye on it. Okay, let's look at Splif. Okay, so they came out, kind of contesting the Cole memo, saying that it was actually going to be good for them because this is news that came out over the weekend because they're legit, and for legit companies it's going to be beneficial. That's what they're saying. And so they bounced on Friday. You can see here it had already been down multiple days in a row since before the Cole memo thing. It was already under pressure. It had come down and filled this gap. Notice there was a gap between these two candles. This was a big winner. So that's why I'm, this had been down here, near 15 cents, and it ran up all the way towards $1 in a short period of time. So it was a huge winner, and it's pulled back, and so now it's a bounce play. And so notice that the candle on Thursday filled the gap. Okay, so the space between these two candles got filled by this candle right here. It filled the gap, and now it bounced off of the EMA 13. And so if it can hold that level at 473, notice the lower wick came down here and hit the middle Bollinger Band, that dotted purple line. So that was a really good reload for whoever nailed that. Good job. Now, if you can get above EMA 4 here, currently at 0.583, that's going to be the signal that it wants to head higher, and then it needs to break above the high close level back here on the 28th. If you can get above that 77 resistance level, that's going to be a signal that it wants to break out higher and possibly run back up to dollar land. Okay, so I'm not sure if you've heard the news, but Australia is taking it to the next level. They want to be their prime minister, whoever's in charge of Australia, came out and said that they want to have their be the #1 medical marijuana exporter in the world for their medical marijuana products, be it whatever it is. They have made it legal now to export medical marijuana products out of the country of Australia. And so that's very similar to the Canadian model that they have going. So right now, Canada and Australia are leading the world. They're both trying to become the #1 player, while the American marijuana sector is taking a step back with the Cole memo being taken away. So as the United States sector takes a step back, you have the Canadian and then the Australian sectors taking market share and moving forward. So that's where you want to be. If you want exposure to the markets, the safest place right now is Canada and Australian companies. And so look here at Acnnf. You can see here it's breaking out, and the American companies are doing good too, but they just have a lot more risk with them being federally illegal. Marijuana is federally legal in Canada coming up in July of 2018 for the entire country. It's currently legal for medicinal purposes, and then Australia has medical marijuana, and they're headed towards the recreational as well, it looks like. And so if you can see here, the Acnnf is breaking out. Look at the multiple gap up opens. So it is very frothy right now on the chart, so keep that in mind. This is breaking out, making new all-time highs. If it pulls back, this could be a nice load opportunity. It has the gaps that makes it kind of difficult. EMA4 down here at 112 is the first support level. If the candles work back in the bands, it could fill that gap and get a bounce off of the EMA4. So keep an eye on it. It had the increasing volume pattern. Everybody's jumping in because of the the big Australian marijuana movement that's happening right now. And so it closed up. This is the weekly chart. It closed up 140% for the week. You can see it just started trading back here in February of 2017, and so look how it's making new all-time highs. It hit that 175 new all-time high. That 153 is a new all-time high close on this weekly chart. You notice the giant volume. It's breaking out. Yeah, these guys are in the driver's seat right now. So yeah, I mean, everybody saw what happened to Aurora. Look what happened to Canopy Growth and Aurora and all these guys. This is the same game plan that these Australian companies are talking about. They're talking about a million square foot greenhouse. They're talking about big time Canadian type production. So keep an eye on these guys. Mymmf. This has a nice uptrend going. Keep an eye on it. There's been some news out. We're looking for a break. This is another Australian marijuana company. Okay, so we're looking for a break above resistance. This one is yet to go parabolic, and so this might take off next week. So keep an eye on it. We're looking for it to break resistance here. If it can get above this high close here, was 1920. So above this high close resistance level at around 380 or so, that's going to be a signal that it wants to break out higher. If for some reason it drops below that middle Bollinger Band at 284, that's going to signal downside risk, and it could drop down to the 50-day simple moving average at 186. Notice how that was tested last week. There was a huge load off of that. So yeah, keep an eye on Mymmf. It could break out higher next week. Okay, let's look at some United States marijuana companies. Check out Digp. They just got some kind of award or something. There was some news out. They had a nice bounce. So keep an eye on it. This could get moving and fill this gap. It's a pretty interesting chart. There's a gap up and a gap down. So there's a space both directions between here. So you could get a break above the gap levels here. A break above, if it breaks above 140, it needs to get back above EMA4 at 38, and then above 40, and then it could run up to 44 and fill the gap. If it can close above 50 up here, that's going to signal it wants to break out higher. If it drops below the 30, below the middle Bollinger Band at 30, that's going to signal it's not ready to go. It's currently trading above the 50, the 100, 200, and 300-day simple moving averages in an uptrend. We're just looking for a break above 50 cents to signal it wants to head up to dollar land. So keep an eye on it. Let's look at Agtk. Closed up 69%. This had a really nice bounce. Notice how it had the big drop. A lot of these were already pulling back, and we put out alerts that before the Cole memo came out. It was interesting. Before the news on that came out, The Canadian market was up. The marijuana Canadian index was up 16-17%, and then this is the day before the news came out on the memo. And then the North America, the American index, U.S. index, was flat on the day. It was up like 0 point something percent. It was a red flag. It was signaling downside risk. And so a lot of these stocks were already under pressure. And so you can see here on Thursday, then it had the huge drop. Okay, so it was already under pressure, and then bam, big drop. It came down, it hit that 300-day simple moving average down here at 2 cents basically, and held that level and bounced, and then look how it got back above EMA4. So keep an eye on Agtk. It looks like this is going to want to break out higher possibly next week. If you can see it get above 4 cents, that's going to be your signal that it wants to run higher. So keep an eye on it. And then another one to look at is Pura. There's a whole bunch of United States marijuana sector stocks that look just like these last couple of charts that I've showed you. You know, I could go on and show you chart after chart after chart that looks just like this. And they're all bouncing the same way, where they had the pullback. They were already pulling back, like I said. Notice how this was already on a multi-day pullback. And then you had the Thursday boom, the big drop. This one happened, you know, it came down close to the 350-day simple moving averages on this lower wick, but it bounced off the middle Bollinger Band, you know, and so as long as this middle Bollinger Band holds at 484, it's still in play. If it drops below the middle Bollinger Band, it's not in play. But if it can hold the middle Bollinger Band and then get above EMA's 4 and 8 here at 566, then it could run higher, and then you want to see it break out above the high close up here at 7.4. So yeah, so there's a whole bunch of charts like this. They need to stay back above the middle Bollinger Band, and then what we're going to be looking for is bullish reversal confirmation. This looks like it had bullish piercing line reversal pattern, and so yeah, so we're going to be looking for you know, follow through on Monday. So yeah, if you'd like to you know, catch up on all the marijuana sector stocks, come check out our chat. We're going to be charting them all week. And every day we're coming up with the newest and hottest plays, and we're getting ahead of everyone else on the entry points. So come check it out. All right, I'll post the link to the chat below the video. Thank you.